Well, the last couple of days have certainly been crazy. And through all of this, when I'm watching Iran and Israel go at it, US come in with their bombers and do some crazy stuff, I'm thinking to myself, where's the opportunity? So I'm looking at all the signals. I'm looking at all the things out there that I can look at. And then Monday morning, it hit me pretty hard. So I saw the price of oil and it didn't make sense. The Iranians had just voted to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which should have caused oil to spike super high. And I'm thinking there's something else going on. So we're going to talk about what I did next, what trade I put on, and where we are and when I'm going to take profits. If you're not a subscriber, now's the time to hit the subscribe, like button. Because if you're a fan of crypto and you want to join me along for my journey in crypto, hit the subscribe button. So let's get right into it. So first, I'd like to share with you something. I know that, it was a crazy last couple hours, days, with the Iranian and Israeli tension, with the U.S. getting involved, and the world saying crazy stuff. And I'm looking for the opportunity. Yes, I don't think wars are good. I don't want wars to happen. And, whether this one should have happened or not is not of my control. But what can I control? I can control what trades I put on, what cryptos I buy, and what cryptos I sell. And I looked at this as an opportunity because the market had dipped. I mean, if you look at it, Bitcoin held up pretty well, only like a 5% dip. But I'm like, where's the opportunity? And then Monday morning, I'm watching oil prices. They closed on Friday. The oil price was around $75 a barrel. It had jumped since the beginning of this conflict from like 60 to 75. It was like a 15% jump. But then you saw it open up Monday super low. 68. So it went down a good margin. And that was well after the Iranians had voted to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of oil flows through that should have spiked oil prices. But then I'm like, well, smart money puts their money where it needs to be. And they weren't, the price of oil didn't go up. So I'm like, okay, there's something else going on in the background. The Iranians really hadn't had a real retaliation, that nothing crypty had happened. So something's going on behind the scenes. And I was thinking it's probably a peace deal. And if a peace deal gets worked out, then, cryptos are going to spike. Stocks are going to spike back to where they were. And remember, this happened over the weekend for the most part, the U.S. involvement in this. And so the markets, the traditional markets, TradFi didn't really have a chance to respond yet, but Bitcoin did. And Bitcoin only went down like 5%. But the alts, went down 5, 10, 15, 20%. And I also know that something else is going on in the next couple of days, or impending, is that Solana ETF, the SEC asked them to refile their S1s with some staking capabilities. And so I know the Solana ETF impending approval. So I'm thinking Solana's my play. And so Solana went down to, let's pull this on a bigger screen. Solana went down to, it went all the way down to like 127. Well, this was on a time I wasn't comfortable making a trade. I didn't know if it was going to break through this, this little line and go down further to where it's, 95, where it was back in April of 2025, where it dipped completely. I didn't know if it was going to further go down until I saw that on Monday morning with the oil. And I got in at around 138. I got in on a long leverage trade at around 138. Here it is down here. It's a small trade because it was a bet. And my purchase price was 139.66. 139.66. So a decent entry point. And my plan with this, so again, oil prices didn't match where market sentiment, didn't match the feelings out there. And that's where the money was. So then I looked at this, and I said, okay, so 143 was the next ceiling of resistance. Well, we went above the 143. That's the 236 Fibonacci. And, the next stop is around this 172. Well, we hit 195-ish. Yeah, 195 back in May. But remember, last year, towards the end of last year or the beginning of this year, we were right around 300. 295. So this is potential. Now, this was during the meme coin craze and all the things that were going on with meme coins, and everyone was buying Solana to buy their meme coins. The Trump coin fiasco happened around November, which is back here. But in January. But so I'm really looking at this going, man, we had potential to run up, especially with that ETF approval impending. Hopefully, I mean, there's a 90% chance, according to, was it Bloomberg or the crypto market? God, I can't remember words this morning. But long story short is that, you know, the potential to run up is pretty high. Now, this was a high leverage trade I did. This was like a 20x, but it was a small amount of money. It was like $130. $130. But for every dollar it goes up, I make 9. Okay. I set my stop loss. Right, you know, right below the recent lows. It doesn't show here because doesn't matter, but I'm going to set my stop loss right below the recent lows, but it's an isolated trade. That's why I didn't set my stop loss. I don't care if I lose $130. I didn't set a stop loss because it's an isolated trade on Bitcoin or a BTCC. They're pro futures, USDM perpetual futures pro, which allows you to set it either cross or isolated. Cross says it can affect the rest of all your other money in that account and the crypto trades you have going on there. Isolated means it's just isolated to the margin you put into that trade, which I like that feature because it allows me to have a limit built in. And it is a bet. This is a gamble. It's a 20x leveraged trade, and it is a gamble. So right now I'm up about 25% on this trade. I'm going to let this one run as long as I can. I'm either going to get stopped out or I'm going to take a profit at the mark of, I'm looking for a profit taking right around this, in this zone right here between 195 and 215. Because it's such a high leverage trade, I'm willing to lose it all. I mean, even if it goes down to this zone, I'll probably get stopped out at around $101. My stop loss is 105. So I'm below, my stop loss is below the recent lows. So it's certainly possible. This is risky. I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. I'm using BTCC. If you want to get involved and you understand the risk involved with trading, make sure you read the terms of service. There's a link down below. But, you know, this is where I'm looking to take profits. Somewhere between the, 195 and 215 realm. It makes sense if we get that ETF and it goes well, the spike in the approval, the new money coming in. I mean, there's already about, I don't know if it was like $30 or $40 million last time I checked in the Canadian ETF that got approved like last week. So is this possible? Yes, it's absolutely possible. What will I make on that trade with $128 of risk? I came in at we'll call it 140. If I go to 215 minus 140, I really don't need a calculator for this, but that's $75 times 9. So I'm possibly making $675 on a $128 trade. 128, that is a 5.2x on that trade. Now, I'm going to sit on this for a while. If I get stopped out, I'll let you know. If I take profits, I'll let you know. But in order to do that, you're going to have to watch the channel. So do me a favor, hit the subscribe button now, like, share, do all those things, and I'll see you next time.